of the first chapter that I started reading it. I have been reading a while, but it's the 170th anniversary of Moby Dick's first publication in the United States. Yeah, 1851. It was 14th of November 1851. Squeezing in another chapter. Well, the next chapter, see what you think of the next chapter. See what you think of it. Yeah, so reading Moby Dick, it's out of copyright because it was written by somebody who died more than 75 years ago, by the way. So I'm reading this, I've been reading it for quite a while, and we're that far through, so we're not a million miles away from the end. Not your kind of book. Yes. Oh, right, well, chapter 95, see what you think of chapter 95, see how you interpret it, see what you think it means, see what you think it's referring to. Chapter 95, the cassock. Had you stepped on board the Pequod at a certain juncture of this post-mortemizing of the whale, and had you strolled forward nigh the windlass, pretty sure I am that you would have scanned with no small curiosity a very strange, enigmatical object, which you would have seen there lying along lengthwise in the lee scuppers. Not the wondrous cistern in the whale's huge head, not the prodigy of his unhinged lower jaw, not the miracle of his symmetrical tail, none of those would so surprise you as half a glimpse of that unaccountable cone, longer than a Kentuckian is tall, nigh a foot in diameter at the base, and jet black as Yojo, the ebony idol of Kekeg. And an idol indeed it is, or rather in old times its likeness was. Such an idol as that found in the secret groves of Queen Macha in Judea, and for worshipping which King Asa her son did dispose of, and destroyed the idol, and burnt it for an abomination at the brook of Kedron, as darkly set forth in the 15th chapter of the first book of Kings. Look at the sailor, called the mincer, who now comes along, and assisted by two allies, heavily backs the grandismus, and the mariners call it, as the mariners call it, with a bowed shoulder, staggers off with it as if he were a grenadier carrying a dead comrade from the field. Extending it upon the forecastle deck, he now proceeds cylindrically to remove its dark pelt, as an African hunter the pelt of a boa. This done, he turns the pelt inside out, like a pantaloon leg, gives it a good stretching, so as almost to double its diameter, and at last hangs it well spread in the rigging to dry. Ere long it is taken down, when removing some 3 feet of it, towards the pointed extremity, and then cutting 2 slits for armholes in the other end, he lengthwise slips himself bodily inside it. The mincer now stands before you invested in the full canonicals of his calling. Immemorial to all his order, this investiture alone will adequately protect him while employed in the peculiar functions of his office. That office consists in mincing the horse pieces of blubber for the pots, an operation which is conducted at a curious wooden horse, planted endwise against the bulwarks, and with a capacious tub beneath it, into which the minced pieces drop, fast as the sheets from a rapt orator's desk. Arrayed in decent black, occupying a conspicuous pulpit intent on Bible leaves, what a candidate for an archbishop! What a lad for a pope were this mincer! Horse pieces, yes. All right, that's the cassock. So what do you think all that was about then? What do you think the cassock was? This abomination in the brook of Kedron is darkly set forth in the 15th chapter of the first book of Kings. Anybody know your 15th chapter of the book of Kings? It was about horses. It wasn't about horses. Like something that some horses have, though. What is this broadcast about? It's about Moby Dick. I'm reading Moby Dick. Oh, that's what you do with a whale. You skin it and wear it, if you're a mincer. Chapter 96, the Try Works. Besides her hoisted boats, an American whaler is outwardly distinguished by her try-works. She presents the curious anomaly of the most solid masonry, joining with oak and hemp in constituting the completed ship. It is as if from the open field a brick kiln were transported to her planks. That's nasty, I know. The try-works are planted between the foremast and the mainmast, the most roomy part of the deck. The timbers beneath are of a peculiar strength, fitted to sustain the weight of an almost solid mass of brick and mortar, some 10 feet by 8 feet square and 5 in height. The foundation does not penetrate the deck, but the masonry is firmly secured to the surface by ponderous knees of iron, bracing it on all sides and screwing it down to the timbers. On the flanks it is cased with wood, and at top completely covered by a large, sloping, battened hatchway. Removing this hatch, we expose the great try-pots, 2 in number, and each of several barrels' capacity. When not in use, they are kept remarkably clean. Sometimes they are polished with soapstone and sand till they shine within like silver punch bowls. During the night watches, some cynical old sailors will crawl into them and coil themselves away there for a nap. While employed in polishing them, one man in each pot, side by side, many confidential communications are carried on over the iron lips. It is a place also for profound mathematical meditation. It was in the left-hand try-pot of the Pequod, with the soapstone diligently circling around me, that I was first indirectly struck by the remarkable fact that in all geometry, all bodies gliding along the cycloid, my soapstone, for example, will descend from any point in precisely the same time. For the award, does this book follow a movie? I haven't seen a movie. Movies, there's quite a few. This view is different, is it? Is it different? Knowing the fireboard from the front of the try-works, the bare masonry of that side is exposed, penetrating by the 2 iron mouths of the furnaces, directly upon the pots. These mouths are fitted with heavy doors of iron. The intense heat of the fire is prevented from communicating itself to the deck by means of a shallow reservoir extending under the entire enclosed surface of the works. By a tunnel inserted at the rear, this reservoir is kept replenished with water as fast as it evaporates. There are no external chimneys, they open direct from the rear wall. And here let us go back for a moment. My torso. Easy. It was about 9 o'clock at night that the Pequod's try-works were first started on this present voyage. It belonged to Stubb to oversee the business. All ready there? Off hatch then and start her. You cook, fire the works. This was an easy thing, for the carpenter had been thrusting his shavings into the furnace throughout the passage. Dubiate said that in a whaling voyage, the first fire in the try-works had to be fed for a time with wood. After that, no wood is used except as a means of quick ignition to the staple fuel. In a word, after being tried out, the crisp, shriveled blubber, now called scraps or fritters, still contains considerable of its unctuous properties. These fritters feed the flames. Like a plethoric burning martyr or a self-consuming misanthrope, once ignited, the whale supplies his own fuel and burns by his own body. Would that he consumed his own smoke, for his smoke is horrible to inhale, and inhale it you must. And not only that, but you must live in it for the time. It has an unspeakable, wild Hindu odour about it, such as may lurk in the vicinity of funeral pyres. It smells like the left wing of the Day of Judgment. It is an argument for the pit. He's got something about Hindus, hasn't he? I'm just going to have a sip. He's got something about Hindus. Several times he's mentioned them. Yes. By midnight, the works were in full operation. We were clear from the carcass. Sail had been made. The wind was freshening. The wild ocean darkness was intense. But that darkness was licked up by the fierce flames, which at intervals fought forth from the sooty flues and illuminated every lofty rope in the rigging, as with the famed Greek fire. The burning ship drove on as if remorselessly commissioned to some vengeful deed. It's a bit foreshadowing, isn't it? So the pitch and sulphur-freighted brigs of the bold Hydrioti Canaris, issuing from their midnight harbours with broad sheets of flame for sails, bore down upon the Turkish frigates and folded them in their conflagrations. this book for the pit. Hell, presumably, yeah. The hatch, removed from the top of the works, now afforded a wide hearth in front of them. Standing on this were the Tartarian shapes of the pagan harpooners, always the whale ship's stokers, with huge pronged poles. Careful, Gemma. They pitched hissing masses of blubber into the scalding pots, or stirred up the fires beneath till the snaky flames darted, curling out of the doors to catch them by the feet. This is not a book review, not unless I'm reading the whole thing. No. Yes, I'll talk about book reviews later. The smoke rolled away in sullen heaps. To every pitch of the ship there was a pitch of the boiling oil, which seemed all eagerness to leap into their faces. Opposite the mouth of the works, on the further side of the wide wooden hearth, was the windlass. This served for a sea sofa. Right. Especially in America, for sure. Here lounged the watch, when not otherwise employed, looking into the red heat of the fire till their eyes felt scorched in their heads, their tawny features now all begrimed with smoke and sweat, their matted beards and the contrasting barbaric brilliancy of their teeth. All these were strangely revealed in the capricious emblazonings of the works. As they narrated to each other their unholy adventures, their tales of terror told in words of mirth, as their uncivilized laughter forked upwards out of them like the flame from the furnace, as to and fro in their front the harpooners wildly gesticulated with their huge pronged forks and dippers as the wind howled on, and the sea leapt, and the ship groaned and died, and yet steadfastly shot her red hell further and further into the blackness of the sea and the night, and scornfully champed the white bone in her mouth, and viciously spat round her on all sides. Then the rushing Pequod, freighted with savages and laden with fire, and burning a corpse, and plunging into that blackness of darkness, seemed the material counterpart of her monomaniac commander's soul. Ooh, that's good. I like that. I do like that image, comparing Captain Ahab's soul to the ship full of savages and burning a corpse and the fire floating along the sea. I like that. Much easier to read. Although I haven't read his other works. I haven't read this one yet. So seemed it to me as I stood at her helm, and for hours, long hours, silently guided the way of this fireship on the sea. Wrapped for that interval in darkness myself, I but the better saw the redness, the madness, the ghastliness of others. The continual sight of the fiend shapes before me, capering half in smoke and half in fire, these at last begat kindred visions in my soul, so soon as I began to yield to that unaccountable drowsiness which ever would come over me at midnight helm. But that night in particular, a strange, and ever since inescapable, thing occurred to me. Starting from a brief standing sleep, I was horribly conscious of something fatally wrong. The jawbone tiller smote my side, which leaned against it. In my ears was the low hum of sails just beginning to shake in the wind. I thought my eyes were open. I was half conscious of putting my fingers to the lids and mechanically stretching them still further apart. But in spite of all this, I could see no compass before me to steer by, though it seemed but a minute since I had been watching the card by the steady binnacle lamp illuminating it. Nothing seemed before me but a jet gloom, now and then made ghastly by flashes of redness. Uppermost was the impression that whatever swift rushing thing I stood on was not so much bound to any haven ahead, as rushing from all havens astern. A stark, bewildered feeling, as of death, came over me. Convulsively my hands gripped the tiller, but with the crazy conceit that the tiller was somehow in some enchanted way inverted. My God, what is the matter with me? Thought I. Lo, in my brief sleep I had turned myself about, and was fronting the ship stern with my back to her prow and the compass. In an instant I faced back, just in time to prevent the vessel from flying up into the wind and very probably capsizing her. How glad and how grateful the relief from this unnatural hallucination of the night and the fatal contingency of being brought by the lee. Oh, I remember books I had to read, yeah. Like The Catcher in the Rye, for example. I've read, well, not books, but Shakespeare as well. I read, yeah, okay. Look not too long in the face of fire, O man. Never dream with thy hand on the helm. Turn not thy back to the compass. Accept the first hint of the hitching tiller. Believe not the artificial fire when its redness makes all things look ghastly. Tomorrow, in the natural sun, the skies will be bright. Those who glared like devils in the forking flames, the morn will show in far other, at least gentler relief. The glorious golden glad sun, the only true lamp, all others but liars. The sun hides not Virginia's dismal swamp, nor Rome's accursed Campagna, nor wide Sahara, nor all the millions of miles of deserts and of griefs beneath the moon. The sun hides not the ocean, which is the dark side of this earth, and which is 2/3 of this earth. So therefore that mortal man who hath more of joy than sorrow in him, that mortal man cannot be true, not true or undeveloped. With books the same. The truest of all man was the man of sorrows, and the truest of all books is Solomon's, and Ecclesiastes is fine hammered steel of woe. All is vanity, all. This wilful world hath not got hold of unchristian Solomon's wisdom yet. But he who dodges hospitals and jails and walks fast, crossing graveyards, and would rather talk of operas than hell, calls Cowper, Young, Pascal, Rousseau, poor devils all of sick men, and throughout a care-free lifetime swears by Rabelais as passing wine, and therefore jolly. Not that man is fitted to sit down on tombstones and break the green damp mould with unfathomably wondrous Solomon. Thank you. But even Solomon, he says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain, i.e., even while living, in the congregation of the dead. Give not thyself up then to fire, let it invert thee, deaden thee, as for the time it did me. There is a wisdom that is woe, but there is a woe that is madness. And there's a Catskill eagle in some souls that kind of like dive down into the blackest gorges and soar out of them again and become invisible in the sunny places. And even if he forever flies within the gorge, that gorge is in the mountains, so that even in his lowest swoop, the mountain eagle is still higher than other birds upon the plain, even though they soar. End of chapter. Thank you, Vegan Doe. Anybody else who I missed for the awards? Probably no more squeezing at the moment. We'll see though. Chapter 97, The Lamp. Get a few more chapters in. 97, The Lamp. Had you descended from the Pequod's try-works to the Pequod's forecastle, where the off-duty watch was sleeping, for one single moment you would have almost thought you were standing in some illuminated shrine of canonized kings and councillors. There they lay in their triangular oaken vaults, each mariner a chiselled muteness, a score of lamps flashing upon his hooded eyes. In merchantmen, oil for the sailor is more scarce than the milk of queens. To dress in the dark and eat in the dark and stumble in darkness to his palate, this is his usual lot. But the whaleman, as he seeks the food of light, so he lives in light. He makes the berth in Aladdin's lamp and lays him down in it, so that in the pitchiest night the ship's black hull still houses an illumination. See with what entire freedom the whaleman takes his handful at lamps, often but old bottles and vials, though to the copper cooler at the try-works, and replenishes them there as mugs of ale at a vat. He burns to the purest of oil in its unmanufactured and therefore unvitiated state, a fluid unknown to solar, lunar, or astral contrivances ashore. It is sweet as early grass butter in April. He goes and hunts for his oil, so as to be sure of its freshness and genuineness, even as the traveller on the prairie hunts up his own supper of game. In year senior high school, you had to read a boring novel called Green Mansions, published in 1917. The classification couldn't keep track of the story. Plot, syntactical form, nor grammatical structure. Teacher had wonderful mercy, but was missing our required reading. You know, permanently shelved. Trainspotting, yeah. I was reading some of it earlier tonight. If you can get, well, yeah, it is visceral. That is a good word that you used earlier. Transporting is definitely visceral. So, just incidentally, at the end of that chapter, just to say that, um, as well as reading Moby Dick and various other novels, at the moment, um, we're reading Trainspotting, and that is for a book club. So for each, the last Monday of each month, we read a different book, and the last Monday of this month, we'll be reviewing Trainspotting, and then we'll choose another book until the last Monday of December. So, yes, make sure you find the last broadcast, which was about the Midnight Library, was the last book, and this month it's Trainspotting, and next month I don't know yet. Let's behave. Graphic content. Well, remember that was it was a choice. I had 3 books to choose from this month: Trainspotting, Clara and the Sun, and Trejo. And yes, Trainspotting was the popular choice on my Twitter poll, so it's not my fault. Right, next chapter. What was it? Night 7. Exactly, it's not my fault. But I'm enjoying it. It is difficult to read. It's difficult to get through some of it. I just read. I can't describe it, but I just read a particular chapter where one of the characters had to clean up after waking up in a strange bed, and then went downstairs for breakfast with his girlfriend's family. And I cannot describe the content of that chapter. But if you've seen the film, you might recall what I'm referring to. Chapter 98, slowing down and clearing up. Already has it been related how the great Leviathan is far off descried from the masthead, how he is chased over the watery moors and slaughtered in the valleys of the deep, how he is then towed alongside and beheaded, and how, on the principle which entitled the headsman of old to the garments in which the beheaded was killed, his great padded surtout becomes the property of executioner. Surtout? Surtout? I don't know. I'm not explaining. How in due time he is condemned to the pots, and like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, his spermaceti oil and bone pass unscathed through the fire. But now it remains to conclude the last chapter of this part of the description by rehearsing, singing, if I may, the romantic proceedings of decanting off his oil into the casks and striking them down into the hold, where once again Leviathan returns to his native profundities, sliding along beneath the surface as before, but alas, never more to rise and blow. While still warm, the oil, like hot punch, is received into the 6-barrel casks, and while perhaps the ship is pitching and rolling this way and that in the midnight sea, the enormous casks are slewed round and headed over end for end, and sometimes perilously scoot across the slippery deck like so many landslides, till at last manhandled and stayed in their course, and all round the hoops, rap, go as many hammers as can play upon them. For now, ex officio, every sailor is a cooper. At length, when the last pint is casked, and all is cool, then the great hatchways are unsealed, the bowels of the ship are thrown open, and down go the casks to their final rest in the sea. This done, the hatches are replaced and hermetically closed, like a closet walled up. In the sperm fishery, this is perhaps one of the most remarkable incidents in all the business of whaling. One day the planks stream with freshets of blood and oil. On the sacred quarter deck, enormous masses of the whale's head are profanely piled. Great rusty casks lie about, as in a brewery yard. The smoke from the try-works has besooted all the bulwarks. The mariners go about suffused with unctuousness. The entire ship seems great Leviathan himself, while on all hands the din is deafening. I don't think so. No sesame oil in Moby Dick, as far as I know. But a day or two after, you look about you and prick your ears in this same ship, And were it not for the telltale boats and try-works, you would all but swear you trod upon some silent merchant vessel with a most scrupulously neat commander. The unmanufactured sperm oil possesses a singularly cleansing virtue. This is the reason why the decks never look so white as just after what they call an affair of oil. Besides, from the ashes of the burned scraps of the whale, a potent ley is readily made, and whenever any adhesiveness from the back of the whale remains clinging to the side, that ley quickly exterminates it. Hands go diligently along the bulwarks, and with buckets of water and rags restore them to their full tidiness. The soot is brushed away from the lower rigging. All the numerous implements which have been in use are likewise faithfully cleansed and put away. The great hatch is scrubbed and placed upon the tryworks, completely hiding the pots. Every cask is out of sight. All tackles are coiled in unseen nooks. And when the combined and simultaneous industry of almost the entire ship's company, the whole of this conscientious duty is at last concluded, then the crew themselves proceed to their own ablutions, shift themselves from top to toe, and finally issue to the immaculate deck, fresh and all aglow, as bridegrooms now leaped from out the daintiest Holland. Hello, Tiffany. Nice to see you. Now, with elated step, they pace the planks in twos and threes, and humorously discourse of parlours, sofas, carpets, and fine cambrics proposed at the top of hot tea by moonlight on the piazza of the forecastle. Tint to such musked mariners of oil, bone, and blubber, little short audacity. They know not the thing you distantly allude to. Away and bring us napkins. But mark, aloft there, at the three mastheads, stand three men intent on spying out more whales, which, if caught infallibly, will again soil the old oaken furniture, and drop at least one small grease spot somewhere. Yes, and many is the time when, after the severest uninterrupted labours, which know no night, continuing straight through for 96 hours, when from the boat, where they have swelled their wrists with all day rowing on the line, they only step to the deck to carry vast chains and heave the heavy windlass and cut and slash, yea, and in their very sweatings to be smoked and burned anew by the combined fires of the equatorial sun and the equatorial try-works, when on the heels of all this they have finally bestirred themselves to cleanse the ship and make a spotless day-room of it, many is the time the poor fellows, just buttoning the necks of their clean frocks, are startled by the cry of "There she blows!" and away they fly to fight another whale, and go through the whole weary thing again. Oh, my friends, but this is man-killing. Yet this is life. For hardly have we mortals, by long toilings, extracted from this world's vast bulk its small but valuable sperm, and then, with weary patience, cleansed ourselves to spout it up, and away we sail to fight some other world and go through young life's old routine again. Oh, the metempsychosis! Oh, Pythagoras, that in bright Greece 2,000 years ago did die, so good, so wise, so mild. I sailed with thee along the Peruvian coast last voyage, and foolish as I am, taught thee, a green simple boy, how to splice a rope. Yeah, she blows. She does. She does. Shall we have one more chapter? Chapter 99? On that. Yes, clean up rather well. Inuit and Japanese use whale oil. Ambergris from the whale used to be used for perfume, yes. They used to use all parts of the whale, yeah. Yeah, very clearly shown in the book as well. I don't normally do it this time. No, I don't. I thought I might just give other people a chance to see, because it's always done at the same time on a Thursday afternoon. I thought I might give other people the chance who are either still asleep or at work or whatever, chance to watch live. Generous of me, yes. I thought I might catch a different audience as well. Okay, so this is a longer chapter. It's 5-ish pages. Great Expectations. I don't know. I don't know what I'll read next. Obviously, it has to be a book out of copyright. I don't think I'll get there before Christmas. I do intend to read Christmas Carol again because I've read that Christmas is past on Periscope, and I think I want to read A Christmas Carol again because it only takes maybe the few nights, maybe the week before Christmas Day, reading that once a night. Same author, obviously. Yeah. It's a nice thing to read, A Christmas Carol. Um, it's a nice story. It's fun. Lots of different voices to do. So maybe I'll do that again before Christmas. Chapter 99, The Doubloon. Ere now it has been related how Ahab was wont to pace his quarter-deck, taking regular turns at either limit, the binnacle and mainmast. But in the multiplicity of other things requiring narration, it has not been added how that sometimes in these walks, when most plunged in his mood, he was wont to pause in turn at each spot, and stand there, strangely eyeing the particular object before him. When he halted before the binnacle, with his glance fastened on the pointed needle in the compass, that glance shot like a javelin with the pointed intensity of his purpose, and when resuming his walk, he again paused before the mainmast. Then, in that same riveted glance fastened upon the riveted gold coin there, he still wore the same aspect of nailed firmness, only dashed with a certain wild longing, if not hopefulness. But one morning, turning past the doubloon, he seemed to be newly attracted by the strange figures and inscriptions stamped upon it, as though now for the first time beginning to interpret for himself in some monomaniac way whatever significance might lurk in them. And some certain significance lurks in all things, else all things are little worth, and the round world itself but an empty cipher, except to sell by the cartload, as they do hills about Boston, to fill up some morass in the Milky Way. That is hard to see, yes, I agree. It's hard when it's the grey text on the background. Hope they change that. Now, this doubloon was of purest virgin gold, raked somewhere out of the heart of gorgeous hills, whence east and west, over golden sands, the headwaters of many a Pactolus flow. And though now nailed amidst all the rustiness of iron bolts and the verdigris of copper spikes, yet untouchable and immaculate to any foulness, it still preserved its ketol glow. Nor, though placed amongst a ruthless crew, and every hour passed by ruthless hands, and through the livelong nights shrouded with thick darkness, which might cover any pilfering approach, nevertheless, every sunrise found the doubloon where the sunset left it last. For it was set apart and sanctified to one awe-striking end, and however wanton in their sailor ways, one and all the mariners revered it, as the white whale's talisman. Sometimes they talked it over in the weary watch by night, wondering whose it was to be at last, and whether he would ever live to spend it. Now those noble golden coins of South America are as medals of the sun and tropic token pieces. Here palms, alpacas, and volcanoes, sun's disks and stars, ecliptics, horns of plenty, and rich banners waving, are in luxuriant profusion stamped, so that the precious gold seems almost to derive an added preciousness and enhancing glories by passing through those fancy mints, so Spanishly poetic. It so chanced that the doubloon of the Pequod was a most wealthy example of these things. On its round border bore the letters República de Ecuador, Quito. So this bright coin came from a country planted in the middle of the world, and beneath the great equator, and named after it. And it had been cast midway up the Andes, and in the unwaning clime that knows no autumn. Zoned by those letters, you saw the likeness of three Andes summits. From one, a flame, a tower on another, and the third, a crowing cock, while arching over all was a segment of the partitioned zodiac, the signs all marked with their usual calabastics, and the keystone sun entering the equinoctial point at Libra. Well, those R's. The ladies do love my R's. Before this equatorial coin, Ahab, not unobserved by others, was now pausing. Not just the ladies, no, no, no. Not just the ladies who love my R's. There's something ever egotistical in mountain tops and towers and all other grand and lofty things. Look here, 3 peaks as proud as Lucifer. The farm tower, that is Ahab. The volcano, that is Ahab. The courageous, the undaunted, the victorious fowl, that too is Ahab. All are Ahab, and this round gold is but the image of the rounder globe, which, like a magician's glass, to each and every man in turn, but mirrors back his own mysterious self. Great pains, small gains, for those who ask the world to solve them, it cannot solve itself. Methinks now this coin's sun wears a ruddy face, but see, aye, he enters the sign of storms, the equinox. And but 6 months before he wheeled out of a former equinox at Aries, from storm to storm. So be it then. Born in throes, 'tis fit that man should live in pains and die in pangs. So be it then. Here's stout stuff for woe to work on. So be it then. Here's to it. No fairy fingers can have pressed the gold, but devil's claws must have left their mouldings there since yesterday, murmured Starbuck to himself, leaning back against the bullocks. The old man seems to read Belshazzar's awful writing. I have never marked the coin irrespectingly. He goes below, let me read. A dark valley between 3 mighty heaven-abiding peaks, that almost seems the Trinity, in some faint earthly symbol. So in this vale of death, God guards us round, and over all our gloom the sun of righteousness still shines a beacon and a hope. If we bend down our eyes, the dark veil shows her mouldy soil, but if we lift them, the bright sun meets our glance halfway to cheer. Yet, oh, the great sun is no fixture, and if at midnight we would fain snatch some sweet solace from him, we gaze for him in vain. This coin speaks wisely, mildly, shrilly, but still sadly to me. I will quit it, lest truth shake me falsely. There now, the old mogul, soliloquized Stubb by the try-works. He's been twigging it, and there goes Starbuck from the same, and both with faces which I should say might be somewhere within 9 fathoms long, and all from looking at a piece of gold. Which did I have now on Negro Hill, or in Corlaer's Hook? I did not look at it ere long, spending it. In my poor insignificant opinion, I regard this as queer. I have seen doubloons before now on my voyages. Your doubloons of old Spain, your doubloons of Peru, your doubloons of Chile, your doubloons of Bolivia, your doubloons of Popayan, with plenty of gold moidores and pistols and joes and half-joes and quarter-joes. What then should there be in this doubloon of the equator that is so killing wonderful? By Golconda, let me read it once. Hello, here's signs and wonders, truly. Now, that is what old Bowditch and his epitome calls the zodiac, and that my almanac below calls ditto. I'll get the almanac, and as I have heard devils can be raised with Dabble's arithmetic, I'll try my hand at raising a meaner out of the queer curvices here with the Massachusetts calendar. Here's the book. Now, let's see. Signs and wonders, and the sun. He's always among them. There they are. Here they go. Oh, Aries or the ram, Taurus or the bull, and Jiminy, here's Gemini himself, or the twins. Well, the sun he wheels among them. Aye, here on the coin, he's just crossing the threshold between 2 of 12. The sitting room's all in a ring. Book, you'll lie there. The fact is, you books must know your places. You'll do to give us the bare words and facts, but we come in to supply the thoughts. There's my small experience so far as the Massachusetts calendar and the Bowditch's navigator and Duvall's arithmetic go. Signs and wonders, eh? Pity if there's nothing wonderful in signs and significant in wonders. There's a clue somewhere. Wait a bit. His. By Jove, I have it. Look you, doubloon. Your zodiac here is the life of man in one round chapter. And now I'll read it off. Straight out of the book. Come, almanac. To begin. There's Aries, or the ram, lecherous dog, he begets us then. Taurus, or the bull, he bumps us in the first thing. Then Gemini, or the twins, that is virtue and vice. We try to reach virtue when, lo, comes Cancer the crab and drags us back, and here, going from virtue, Leo, a roaring lion, lies in the path. He gives a few fierce bites and surely dabs with his paw. We escape and hail Virgo the Virgin. That's our first love. We marry and think to be happy, for aye, when pop comes Libra, or the scales, happiness weighed and found wanting. And while we are very sad about that, Lord, how we suddenly jump! A Scorpio or the Scorpion stings us in the rear. We are curing the world when whang comes round the arrows all round. Sagittarius or the Archer is amusing himself, and we pluck out the shafts. Stand aside, here's the battering ram. Capricornus or the Goat, full tilt he comes rushing, and headlong we are tossed. When Aquarius or the Water Bearer pours out his whole deluge and drowns us, and to wind up with Pisces or the Fishes, we sleep. There's a sermon now, writ in high heaven, and the sun goes through it every year, and yet comes out of it all alive and hearty. Jollily he aloft there wheels through toil and trouble, and so alow here does jolly Stub. Oh, jolly's the word for aye. Adieu, doubloon. But stop, here comes the little king post. Dodge round the try-works now, and let's hear what he'll have to say. There he's before it. He'll out something presently. So, he's beginning. I really like that description of the star signs. I thought that was very good, actually. I thought that was a nice little tale of the 12 star signs and how they affect people. I see nothing here but a round thing made of gold, and whoever raises a certain whale, this round thing belongs to him. So, what's all this staring been about? It's worth $16, that's true, and at 2 cents a cigar, that's 960 good cigars. I won't smoke dirty pipes like Stub, but I like cigars, and here's 960 of them. So here goes Flask aloft to spy 'em out. Shall I call that wise or foolish now? If it be really wise, it has a foolish look to it. Yet, if it be really foolish, then it has a sort of wisish look to it. But avast, here comes our old Manxman, the old hearse driver. He must have been, that is, before he took to the sea. He luffs up before the doubloon. Hello, he goes around on the other side of the mast. Why, there's a horseshoe there nailed on that side, and now he's back again. What does that mean? Hark, he's muttering, like a voice like an old, worn-out coffee mill. Prick ears and listen. If the white whale be raised, it must be in a month and a day when the sun stands in some of those signs. I've studied signs, and I know their marks. They were taught to me 20 years ago by the old witch in Copenhagen. Now, in what sign will the sun be then? The horseshoe sign, for there it is right opposite the gold. And what's the horseshoe sign? The lion is the horseshoe sign. The roaring, devouring lion. Ship, old ship, my old head shakes to think of thee. There's another rendering now, but still one text. All sorts of men in one kind of world, you see. Dodge again. Here comes Kike, all tattooing. Looks like the sign of the zodiac himself. What says the cannibal? As I live, he's comparing notes, looking at his thigh bone. Thinks the sun is the thigh, or in the calf, or in the bowels, I suppose, as the old woman talks surgeon's astronomy in the back country. And by Jove, he's found something in the vicinity of his thigh. I guess it's Sagittarius, or the Archer. No, he doesn't know what to make of the doubloon. He takes it for an old button off some king's trousers. But aside again, here comes the ghost devil, Fedala. Tail coated out of sight as usual, oakum in the toes of his pumps as usual. What does he say, that look of his? Only makes a sign to the sign and bows himself. There's sun on the coin. Fire worshipper, depend upon it. Oh, more and more, this way comes Pip. Poor boy, why would he have died, or I? He's half horrible to me. He too has been watching all of these interpreters, myself included. And look now, he comes to read with that unearthly idiot face. Stand away and hear him again. Hark. I look, you look, he looks, we look, ye look, they look. Oh, upon my soul, he's been studying Murray's grammar, improving his mind, poor fellow. And what's that he says now? Hist again. I look, you look, he looks, we look, ye look, they look. Why, he's getting by heart. Hist again. I look, you look, he looks, we look, ye look, they look. Well, that's funny. And I, you, and he, and we, ye, and they are all bats, and I'm a crow, especially when I stand atop of this pine tree here. Caw, 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 ain't I a crow? And where's the scarecrow? There he stands, 2 bones stuck into a pair of old trousers, and 2 more poked into the sleeves of an old jacket. Wonder if he means me. Complimentary. Poor lad. I could go hang myself. Anyway, for the present, I'll quit Pitt's vicinity. I can stand the rest. They have plain wits, but he's too crazy witty for my sanity. So I leave him muttering. Here's the ship's navel, this doubloon here, and they are all on fire to unscrew it. But unscrew your navel, and what's the consequence? Then again, if it stands here, that is ugly too. For when aught's nailed to a sign, a mast, it's a sign that things grow desperate. Ha! Old Ahab, the white whale, he'll nail thee. This is a pine tree my father in old Tolland County cut down. A pine tree once. I found a silver ring growing over it, some old darkie's wedding ring. How did it get there? And so they'll say in the resurrection when it comes to fish up this old mast and find a balloon lodged in it, with bedded oysters for the shaggy bark. Was it gold? The precious, precious gold! The green miser'll hoard ye soon. Hish, hish! God goes among the world's blackberrying. Cook, ho cook, and cook us, Jenny, hey, Jenny, Jenny, and get your hoe cake done. End of chapter. That was an interesting one. That was, I thought that they're all avaricious. Well, many of them, but they're all sort of wondering what the others are doing. They're all sort of almost like paranoid, I think. They're all going up to the coin and touching it and studying it and wondering about it, and then they're leaving it, but they're all watching each other do it. Strange that, very interesting. What's in the red flask? A red flask liquid. Yeah, so every Thursday, read more from chapter 100 onwards. So this is page 360. Can I squeeze in there? 360 of 470 or 80, something like that. 480, 470. Yeah, so about 110 pages to go. Chapter 135. So 35 more chapters. 135. Ah, yes. Okay, yeah. Right, okay. Today's not Thursday. Correct. Today's not Thursday. So because this is the anniversary of the first publication, as September Jules said to me, she pointed out it's the 170th anniversary of its first publication in the United States. It's actually published in the UK first on October the 18th. I think October the 18th, 1871. Published in the UK first, I think for copyright reasons. But today is the 170th anniversary of it being published in the United States, where it was written. So I thought it might be a good opportunity just, you know, to come and read a few more chapters and to do it at a different time, like I say, for other people who don't normally get to watch live, or maybe don't care to watch live, perhaps. So yeah, as I say, maybe people are, it's the wrong time zone for them, or they're at work or whatever. So normally Thursday afternoon in the Cloud House Cafe, just after I've had my lunch, I will sit and read a few chapters of Moby Dick. For a Thursday, yeah, to do this on a Sunday instead. And I suppose maybe I can put a bit more dramatic expression in my voice, perhaps. When I know I'm not disturbing the other patrons of the cafe. It is Andrea Brenda. Yes. Do you like the acting? Well, like I say, I think I might be reading. Um, might be reading the Christmas Carol. Christmas Carol on the day before Christmas, and I've read that in the past few years. And I like doing that because it's really dramatic, and I can get into it and yeah, make it a bit more dramatic rather than just reading it out. So yeah, I guess so. I guess you might show pictures. What pictures? Pictures? All text. No pictures. We're doing the pictures in the cafe. Why don't I record audiobooks? Well, I am in a sense doing this. Um, I don't know. I think because I stumble over the words too much, I think it would be distracting. Um, for money, well, feel free, everybody, to send me some awards here. Um, or you can use my Buy Me a Coffee, as one generous person did last night and sent me uh, £50 worth of coffee. You bought me, yes. Those of you who did, thank you, Brenda. Just saw it. God, books for the blind. Um, well, I do like reading Moby Dick, but it would have to be out of copyright. An actual job. I have an actual job, not this. Um, I don't know if it'd make any money. Yeah, I don't know if enough people would be interested in listening. Um, but I do enjoy it, certainly. I enjoy it. But I think a job. Well, I do call it a job. I have professional qualifications for it. It's my job. Thank you very much. I am paid to do it. Um, um, yeah, so there is the awards. There's still the sponsorships that people use. There's the Buy Me a Coffee. There's my PayPal, etc. If anybody wants to do that. If anybody enjoys listening to me reading Moby Dick. And just about the awards at the moment, um, a hindering of mine, yes, true, but it does pay me, so there's that. About the awards at the moment, if you buy the awards, it's the price that you pay for the awards is the amount of money that gets sent to the broadcaster. So with sponsorships, they're still on there. You have to go use the website, I think, but they are still there, and you can't set up new ones still. Um, you have to delve into it a little bit, but they are there. Yes, so £100 is that what the largest award is worth? I don't know, to be honest. I haven't looked down that end of the scale. Nor Hug Awards. And they said they might be changing the current awards. I'm not sure. So I think they may change things. I guess it goes 1K then 10K. Right. So the 1K award, that is $10. So you buy that for $10 or possibly $9.99, and then when you send it, then that $10 goes to the broadcaster. So it's what you pay is what you send to the broadcaster at the moment. I don't know if HAPS realizes that. I don't know if they're aware that they're not making any money from that at the moment. But buy your coins while it's at that price, and that way you'll be buying the amount that you send. Nothing but send the smaller amounts up to whatever you want to send. I guess. But we're jumping towards from 10 to So that's 10 is 10 cents and 100 is 100 cents, a dollar. So they, just in case anybody didn't realize, they've changed the numbers a little bit. So each coin represents 1 penny or 1 cent. So the 100 coin awards mean a dollar. That's what they cost you to buy, and that's what they send to me. It goes 10. Yes, yeah, I get what you meant, but as I said, you could send if you want to send $30 to somebody, you could send 3 tens. But they hinted that might be changing. They might have more awards and different awards and personalized awards. I don't know how that's going to work yet. I guess they have to have quite a large split when there's quite a big range. You want to buy 300, 700, 1,000 or 10,000. Yeah, that sounds familiar, Andy. Yeah. Um, yeah. How much is a 50 coin award worth in BPS, British pound sterling? Um, 50 coins would be worth about 35 or 40 pence, something like that. Um, the lipstick award. You know more than I do about that. Let's see. What's 50 US cents in British pence and pounds? 37 pence. 37 pence is 50 US cents. Um, that's the conversion. I think because they need to what's the word? Convert it. It costs a little bit to convert between dollars and pounds, but I'm not sure if it's HAPS that's taking that. It might be the banking system, whatever they use, that takes a little percentage when they're converting between currencies. You'll have to study this, okay? But I'm not here to talk about coins and awards, etc. Um, so from Thursday, I'll be reading chapter 100, maybe 101. I do love talking data. Yes, I do love talking data. That is true. Sadly, my HAPS coins spreadsheet, I don't have sufficient data to be updating that at the moment. So I might have to rework my spreadsheet a little bit. It's going to be disappointing if I have to do that. Yeah, I hope they sort that out. It's not top of the list. That's landscape and zoom. Um, but yes, I do hope they sort that out so it doesn't mess up my spreadsheet. Anyway, I've been reading for, I guess, about an hour, or reading and talking for about an hour. There's no clock on, no broadcast clock, which is also a thing missing. That all goes back in. Seeing who's like, yeah, as we know, as has been talked about quite a lot, there's plenty missing. Ronnie Cobb. I said to the producer, I said to him, it says 12 minutes, it doesn't say 12 minutes. All right, we'll stop there, shall we? What was that? It was a rather good Ronnie Corbett, I thought. I thought that was actually not too bad. That's just for all the foreigners in here. Uh, Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. Yes. Anyway, I think I'll do. So, I'll see you tomorrow morning in 11 hours. In 11 hours, I'll be, hopefully, anyway, I'll be um, in the other cafe, the potting shed, and we'll do a bit of sketching. I'll have breakfast, and then I'll do a bit of sketching. It looks as if I can't do the dual camera setup, so it's just going to be um, just my phone like this in portrait tomorrow morning. Do more. No, 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 no. I shall leave you with my Ronnie. Um, yeah, until tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock my time, in 11 hours, that is, tomorrow morning, because Tuesday I have to, I said I'll leave you with my Ronnie. Tuesday I have a thing, seeing a learner for my job. Tuesday morning, so yeah, tomorrow morning I'll be sketching. And then, I guess next scheduled one will be Thursday for chapter 100 of Moby Dick. But I'll probably do something before. You know me, I'll do something. Right, thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for the awards. Thank you for following. Tuesday. Will it be Tuesday? Okay, interesting. I wonder what it'll be. Who knows? But I'll see you for the next thing. So thank you for watching. Follow me on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever, as well as Haps. See you next time. Cheery bye, everyone. Discussion. A Haps discussion, is it? Is that what you're alluding to? When the bookmark ribbon. What's that? I like it. Yes. That looks dramatic. All right. Thanks for watching. Cheery bye, everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.